Hi, I'm James Hogan.
And I'm Stacy Miller, and this is the August 2024 edition of Western Wednesdays.
Welcome to Western Wednesdays, our show where we interview some of the most amazing alumni out there of Western Carolina University. I'm James Hogan. I get to serve as the Assistant Vice Chancellor for Engagement here at WCU. With me, Stacy Miller, Director of Alumni Engagement here at Western. How are you doing, Stacy?
I'm doing great. It's great summer weather outside.
It's hot.
Colorways hopping.
That's
finished
exactly
orientations.
It's a big summer here at Western, and a lot of energy and excitement on campus, and a lot of energy today. We just had the most amazing interview with Manio Mitchell, class of 2009, and Olympic silver medalist. I just can't get over saying that.
Right, and I mean, how many people don't get there? How many people don't do those things? And to sit here and have had that conversation, SoCon champion, Olympic medalist, world champion, and now entering another Olympic team in a different sport.
You'll find out all about that in our interview here today. Before we get to it, though, I want to make sure I ask you all, listening to us, watching us on YouTube, be sure to subscribe, be sure to like this video, share it on your social media, and be sure to also tag us, WCU alumni, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I don't think we're on TikTok yet, but we need to be.
That's right.
I know.
We should go there.
Be sure to share it. Help spread the word and the catamount pride that comes with these great alumni stories, because they're really fun. They're really fun to share.
Let's get into this, James.
I love it. Let's do it. Manio Mitchell, thank you for joining us here on Western Wednesdays. We're so excited to have you in the studio with us. Stacy and I have been looking forward to this interview for a long time, and I think that we've got some fun questions ahead and some good stories to get out of you on this show. So we'll go ahead and get started. So this is a story I know that you've told a bunch of times, and I want you to tell it here on Western Wednesdays. But Manio, you were part of Team USA in 2012 for the Summer Olympics in London. You were running one leg of a 4x400 meter race. And for our listeners who are not track and field people, the 4x400, the track around the track is 400 meters. And
some of them.
Right. Well, hopefully it's 400 meters. And the 4x400 is a relay race where you have four athletes who pass a baton, and each athlete runs one lap. And it's about a mile, right? And if you were to put it on an American track, it would be about a mile. It's 1,600 meters. And so you're one of these four relay runners. And Manio, tell us the story in that trial run.
Yeah, so we were in London, England, 2012 for the Olympics, and I was tasked with the opportunity to be the outgoing runner, which is a lot within itself as far as duties, because you have to wait for the gun, and you have to set the pace, establish the pace, and hopefully get around and set all the tone. Yeah.
The outgoing is number one out of four.
Yeah.
And so that's a big deal.
Yeah.
To be number one.
Yeah. So the gun goes off, and I'm just trying to just do my job. And I know the people that I'm running up against because I study my opponents and things like that. I actually ran against two of them in college. So I know what I need to do. I know where I need to be. And as I'm getting into my running, something is just not functioning right. So then we fast forward to about 150 meters to 200 meters, so halfway. And then that's when I felt something. At the time, I didn't know what it was, but I felt something in my left leg. I see my teammate like motioning in like this. It's just an internal thing, like, come on, bring it in. And so I channeled whatever was going on here, which at the time I didn't know, but it ended up being a broken fibular bone. I just channeled that and I was like, you know what? I hate losing more than I love winning. And if I'm gonna be on the historical side here, I don't want to be on the bad side, because we'd never lost that race ever in history. And so I didn't want to be on the bad side of history. So there were like a lot of things. And then of course you train 3.5 years or 4 years for a race that takes 44 seconds it lasts 44 seconds that happens every 4 years. So I didn't want to let all that, go down the drain. So I just kept running. And it did more damage, but I got the baton to the line, and then we ended up running we tied with the Bahamas in that race and ran the fastest time in Olympic history for a preliminary round.
So in that prelim, you ran 200 meters with a broken fibula.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, not only did you finish, but you put in a really incredible time for that first leg of a race.
Yeah, it was officially 45.7 seconds.
Yeah.
So I was probably 1.5 seconds off of what I should have run.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can't even, I don't know about you.
It's so slow.
Like, first of all, I can't imagine running around a track in 45 seconds.
I think I can ride my bike that fast.
It took me 45 seconds to ask the question. Like, it's
Like 45 seconds. I'm certain I can do a bike ride that fast.
and I mean, Manny, like
And you're saying I was a second and a half slow.
that's exactly it. Like,
Yeah.
I broke my foot earlier this year, and I had to wear one of these stupid orthopedic boots, and everybody here laughed at me because I had, you could hear like the Velcro, like the whole, like you could hear me coming. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I feel so slow. And I would wake up in the morning and my foot would hurt, and I would just whine about it. And you're out there and you run, 200 meters in arguably 23 seconds or something like that. And so in your brain, even though you didn't quite understand exactly what had happened, you're just thinking, I've got to go, I've got to go, I've got to go. Where does that drive come from? What about your experience or your life or dealing with loss or dealing with winning or losing, where did that internal drive come from?
A lot of places. I would say first and foremost, just my upbringing, my grandfather.
Tell us about him.
Yeah, so I didn't grow up with my father in the home, but my grandfather was like my father figure.
Yeah.
So my grandparents loved him to death, and then obviously my mom was in the picture as well. But he taught me a lot, like on the outside of things, not like hands-on, but like just like a lot of verbal things, like don't ever quit or don't give up. He worked and a lot of people in my family worked in a textile plant called Cone Mills, and I always said, and I was kind of rebellious as a younger kid, and I was like, I'm never gonna work a 9 to 5 in that place because my whole family worked there. I was like, I'm never gonna work there. And it wasn't like me saying that I'm better than anyone else or anything like that. It was just like, I'm gonna work as hard as I can so that I don't have to do that, because I saw them struggle. I saw them go through so much and so much like turmoil and pain in their bodies and their minds. And I was like, I'm not gonna do that. And I haven't. I still haven't. I'm not going to. But I think he started that. He sparked that very early. My mom, of course. And then, fast forward through high school, I've had coaches and teachers, and even when I was here at Western, obviously with Danny, and then some of my teammates and professors even that I've had here that have instilled in me these grand qualities that I can do whatever I set my mind to. And if we're tying shoes, I'm going to be the one that ties them the best and the fastest. If that's what it calls for, I'm gonna do it. Whatever the call is, I'm gonna do it. So, yeah, I think I've carried that over into every endeavor in life now.
Was your family able to watch you in London in that race?
Yeah, they had a whole watch party, and then actually had my mom and my aunt there. So
In London, yeah. Wow. I can't imagine how big of a moment that was for them, Stacey. That to be there to watch it in person.
Yeah, I mean, unbelievable, and as unforgettable as it is for you, right? As a mom, you can understand as a dad, right? The joy and the never-ending smile that that goes on from that. I want to hear more about that 2012 Olympic story. After that race, there is a lot of talk about your injury, right, and what you went through, but how did you tell us a little bit about enjoying that moment and what that was like? I mean, you're an Olympic medalist, right? And that's a little bit of a big deal.
So spoiler alert, the team qualifies and then runs the finals and wins a silver medal.
That's right.
Right. I
Yeah.
wish it was the other color, but it's okay.
Still,
Yeah, I'll take it.
that's still it's a medal.
We'll take it.
It's a
We'll take it, yeah.
medal. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, but just to, it was a lot, first and foremost. It was a lot to deal with, and like the time change and difference from being in London and being here. So people that watched, they didn't know what was going on because the commentators didn't know what was going on. They just thought it ran slow. Or however they termed it.
Right.
But then like 10 to 15 hours later, when I got back from the hospital and everybody found out like what really happened, because and I'll segue really quick. Like when that happened, I was the first runner, but I stood there and watched all my teammates compete.
Sure.
It wasn't just my moment, it was our moment.
Yeah.
So I stood there, I went up in the stands through media, I went back down, I went through the media tunnel at the bottom. This is another 35 minutes. And everyone's asking like, what happened? What's wrong with you? And I was like, I just need to get to the hospital. Like
Wow.
just get me to the hospital. And so we got to the hospital. I knew what was up.
Sure.
I just didn't know exactly what was up. But then they rolled me around, probably in a room about this size. They rolled me around and I saw the x-rays and it was like bone, a lot of space, and then more bone.
No
And I was like,
kidding.
there's no way that just happened. And they were like, we don't know. Like people were just like,
Oh,
I don't
my
know.
gosh.
But of course, like you said, Stacey, like there's a lot that comes with that. So obviously it was negative at first, like, oh, you suck, and I can't believe they chose you to be the first runner or be on the team.
Yeah.
And then it was like complete flip, like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like it was insane. It was insane. But the motto of the Olympic Games that year were to inspire a generation. And the colors were purple. So I'm like
is meant to be.
how does this?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna take it another step further. If you want to Google this, you can. The moment that I broke my leg, that motto is right there in the backdrop. It's right there. In the exact moment, the step that I broke my leg is
Inspire a
wow.
generation.
Yep. Yeah. So it came with a lot of negativity at first, and then it also showed me what mental health is. That was my first introduction to true what mental health is as an athlete, well before what it's being discussed as now. And I had to channel all that stuff in the right fashion. And then, of course, the news and all these media outlets were coming after you. And that was when I don't even think Instagram was even a thing, but Twitter had just started.
Right.
And I wasn't tweeting like that. And I didn't have any choice because everybody found out who you were and you
Right.
get all this
Yeah.
following and stuff like that. But for me, it was always just about, just like that family name. Like my last name means a lot more to me, but never giving up and things like that. So it was just an honor just to even be there. But to be able to do something like that was just over the top.
And that was so I went back and looked at Team USA that year. I mean, it was a great year for Team USA in the Olympics. But names like Michael Phelps and Misty May Traynor and Kerry Walsh and Katie Ledecky, Alex Morgan, and the women's soccer team that year took gold. Kobe Bryant played in that Olympics. LeBron James, 104 gold medals, and you were a part. 104 medals total, and you were a part of that, and your team was a part of that. When you're in the middle of all of the hype that is an Olympics, what's that experience like? And going back to that mental health piece of it, I mean, you've got to feel the weight of a country on your shoulders as you're preparing and you're there, but you want to enjoy the moment, but you have to be in the right headspace. How did you balance that, and how did you sort of keep your focus?
For a lot of people, that may be the case, but for me, that wasn't the case. I've never been nervous for a race or a competition or anything like that, and it's because I do more work at the track for training than I do in that moment. When I get out there, it's all fun. Not that I like laugh it off, but it's easy then because you've already put in the work. You know what you're going to be able to produce. That's the kind of mindset that I have had since probably 2005 when I got here as a freshman, and I had to like really, really work hard to stay here. That's kind of how I got that mindset. And so when we got to London, it was just like, I know a lot of these people, I've seen a lot of these people, but I'm not going to let that deter me from the fact that I'm leaving here with one of those 3 medals.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't care what color it is. I would like for it to be gold, but as long as I get one of those 3, that's all I care about. So whatever I have to do to get that, that's what I'm going to do.
To your point, Manu, and I mean, and I remember some of those teams. I remember some of those relay teams. I remember some of your teammates, and like you say that, and I can vision all of this, like in my head right now, of you guys out there, not just the work that you put in and seeing you there, what felt like 24 hours a day sometimes, but putting all of that work in. And then those SoCon championships where, we would put on these championships, and that confidence, right? It was a confidence, and it was truly something to watch. And so I remember watching this race and seeing that, and and just kind of flashing back to that same mentality and preparedness that you would have running here in Cullowhee.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. Like I give Danny Williamson, is who I'm saying, a lot of credit when it comes to that, because this man used to make me run at a conference meet, the 60 in indoors, the 60, the 200, the 400, and the 4x4. And then outdoors, I would run the 100, 200, 400, 4x1, and 4x4 2 days in a row.
Wow.
So now I fast forward and I turn pro, I only have to run one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, isn't that nice?
It's easy, But no, it's definitely a lot of hard work. But, just going back to being around that list of names, like these are people like I low-key idolize. I wouldn't tell them this, but
You kind of just
but
did.
like my mom and my aunt had lunch with the Fab Five, so the gymnasts at that time.
Oh my gosh.
And then of course Kobe's like one of my favorite athletes of all time, and then being able to share some moments with him, and then fast forward 10 years later, here I am at his facility out west, helping young girls play basketball, teaching them speed and power development. So it's just like, you establish these relationships, and then you build friendships and stuff like that off the track or the court. So it's been cool, but it was cool to bring the world to Cullowhee, to everybody to understand what happens here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Manio, tell us a little bit. Talk to us about your Western story. Tell us your favorite Western memory. We're going to start with that, other than running track for Danny Williamson, which was a
Running
story
track for
in
Danny
itself.
Williamson.
Oh, that's like a book.
But tell us,
That's
what's
a
your
whole
favorite
podcast.
memory of your time in Cullowhee?
Favorite memory of my time in Cullowhee, man, there's so many. There's so many. I had so many good moments here and memories that I'll cherish forever. But I think the one that stands out the most was this unexpected encounter that I had when I got back from London. There was a Sean Kingston concert or something going on. I just hobbling around in a boot, don't know what's going on. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of people on campus right now. And then I got invited to freshman convocation or something like that. And I don't know why I was invited to this, but I was. And I'm just sitting there, and then at the time, Dr. Belcher just goes on this whole spiel. And then I hear my name, and then all these kids, well, not kids, but students stand up, and they're like pointing and all this stuff. And I just felt like, okay, I'm home. Like this is like home. Everybody appreciates you. Like I don't even know these kids at all, but they know me, and they may have come here for that very reason, just to get that same kind of atmosphere. So, I've had a lot of memories here, but that one stood out to me the most because it was like, okay, I want to do even more. Like, what else can I do? So,
Man, you're from Shelby, went to Crest High School. I'm sure they love you there. Like I'm sure that they've got your photo somewhere in the building at Crest. How did you come to Western? Like, how did you first find out about WCU?
funny story. I have lots of stories, so I don't know which camera to look into, but I have lots of stories. I ran track my senior year of high school. I played basketball and football, and then got into track my senior year. Had never run on like a synthetic track, like a real track, until we found out that our regional track meet was going to be here at Western Carolina. So we drove up from Shelby like 2 hours and some change, and we set every state record here, every regional record here. And it was my first time running a race when my feet and legs didn't hurt from running on concrete.
On asphalt.
Or asphalt, right.
Yeah.
So I met so the way Danny used to work is he would have all the student athletes actually working the meet as getting volunteer hours and things like that for community service. And so I met all these cool athletes, and I was like, man, I would love to just come run here. And then, of course, I was involved in music heavily as well. So it kind of paired the two, and then Danny offered me a scholarship, like, on the spot. And I was like, you know what? Like, I really like this place. It seems like a family atmosphere. I would love to just go see what it's like and just create history and continue whatever history has already been made there. So that's kind of how it came about.
You just started your senior year, and then you just won everything.
Well, I didn't win everything.
I mean,
Well, I did.
You
I
set a
lost
lot of
little bit.
records.
I lost a little bit.
Yeah.
To that point, how many SoCon championships were you a part of,
Oh,
either
man.
individually as a team,
So
or can you count that high?
I really don't keep up.
Can you keep count? I shouldn't say can you count
Daniel
that high.
Hooker.
Can you keep count?
Daniel
Daniel
somewhere
Hook.
out there, he
He
can tell
would
us.
know.
Wherever you're at,
Oh,
I know
my gosh.
you keep up with this stuff, not me. I do know that we went to indoor and outdoor for 4 years, so that's 8, and out of 8 we won 5. Some would say that's the dynasty.
Yep. Yep.
But my teammates and then of course teammates before me, we always argue like which group set was
Uh-huh.
the dynasty builder. So, but I would say all SoCon like 30 plus times, I think. So
That's awesome.
it's weird.
So it's the 4x400 is a race. Your part lasts 44 seconds. It happens every 4 years. 2016 comes around. You're not there. You work hard to try to get back into it. 2020, the pandemic happens. And all of a sudden, the Summer Olympics are postponed indefinitely and not even sure what's going to happen. And you were there, you were wanting to go, but then it stops. The whole world just stops. And how do you started to talk about mental health. As an athlete, and not just an athlete, as an Olympian who performs at the peak of an entire sport globally, how do you balance in your mind the time between that starting pistol and the next one? And what changes? What changes in your body? What changes in your ability? How do you balance that in your mind in terms of mental health and just being prepared?
Yeah, 16 to 20 was tough. 16 to 20 was tough. Those were probably the worst 4 years of my life. I was in the best shape of my life for 16, and then I just kept having nagging, ongoing injuries from my foot from the stuff before.
Yeah.
It was just out of the blue. I'm working with Steve because I was still training here. I'm like, Steve, I don't know what's going on. Can you please just give me a new leg? Like, I really got to get back to these games. And I actually made it to the trials, and then mentally, every time I got to 200 meters, my body would break down.
Really?
Out of nowhere. And so I had to figure out, like, what can I do to fix this? So I started talking to some people through USOPC and got some names, some contacts, and then I've been talking to those same people every week since. Even when I don't need them.
Even when you don't need them. And so USOPC, tell us what that is.
So that's the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee.
And they have counseling resources. They have
and even if you're not at that level to receive those types of benefits, you can still reach out to their sports psych like all over the world, especially now with
Right.
how sports operate and
that's
how
just
it's a
it.
business. Yeah.
And 15 years ago, it wasn't nearly, to your point, wasn't talked about the way it is now.
Yeah, it was pretty hidden. There obviously people were still having issues, but it just wasn't widely known. It wasn't talked about. But with the likes of like Simone Biles with her breakdown at the last games, I think that really pushed it to another level. And now like all those resources are available if you truly need them.
And I don't know how you don't.
Right. And that's, kind of piggybacking off of that, right? Like it's not easy being an Olympic athlete. And as we prepare, for upcoming games, can you share what's it like to be an Olympic athlete? It's it's challenging and it comes from all directions. So share just a little bit about what is that life like?
That life is hard. It's hard, but it's fun. I didn't go to sleep and wake up and say I want to be an Olympian. I never, or an Olympic athlete. I never once said that. That didn't happen until 2008. I was like watching the games. I was here over the summer just training, and I was like, I want to do that. It wasn't a dream. It wasn't a thought for years and years. I was like, in 2012, so 4 years from now, I want to do that, and I want a medal. That's what I want to do. I told Danny, and we made a plan. That's what we did. But it comes with a lot of mishaps. Like, you have to stay at the top of your game. There are going to be times where people are going to, like, try to knock you off track. but you have to be ready to accept the losses sometimes, because I think a lot of people think that when you're at the Olympic level, like you win all the time. You have to be prepared to lose.
Right.
And my game plan is I prepare for the worst and hope for the best. So that way, if I lose, I'm going to gain something from that loss that's going to propel me to win the next time. And sometimes a win is getting second place.
Yeah.
It may not be getting the gold. It may be just going out, giving your best effort, and you get the result that you get. And I think that's what a lot of young athletes kind of miss now, because with the likes of social media and all that stuff, they see the glory, but they don't see all the stuff that it took to get to that.
Right.
And it is a lot of hard work. I mean, even if you're coming in here and you're doing your daily job, that's the hard work too, but you have to prepare for that. And my thing is you have to study. Even I'm still a student of the sport. I'm still studying people. I'm still studying my body and like, what can I do? Because I'm 37 now, so I have to do a lot more than I used to,
Right.
but also have to do a lot less. So it's just like finding that balance, finding what works for you. But it's great. It's great to be an ambassador, to be able to, live for people that may not ever be in that position, but they live through you and they want to see you succeed, and they cherish those moments with you. Because when I'm in a track or in a sled, it's not just me. It's everybody from Shelby, everybody from Cullowhee, and I also have to remember that is a message that I'm portraying and an image that I'm portraying, because I represent all those different bodies.
Mm-hmm. I was just thinking about this question, and you started to. You may answer the same way, but when you put on a Team USA uniform, you're wearing the flag. How does that feel?
Powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Captain America. Yeah, it may be different for other people, but like I'm a Nike athlete, so our uniforms are typically, when we're on a U.S. team, it looks the same as just in the U.S. colors. Yeah. But when you put the USA on your chest, and that flag is up there, and like that's the highest that you can go for most sports. Not NFL obviously, but for most sports. When I put that on, I feel like an Avenger. Like that's like a superpower. Like you go a little bit, not that you're slacking off, but you go a little bit more when you put that on, or at least I do. Yeah. And then to stand up there on a podium and hear the national anthem.
You see so many athletes just in tears.
Like I do the internal ones. Yeah. I do the internal ones. I'm not gonna lie. I have it's just an overwhelming, like overtaking emotion, and like you just can't help it. You can't help it, and it's because you know that you put in all this work, and I miss, like, now I'm about to start crying. I miss time with my family. I miss funerals. Like, I miss all these different things, like my kids growing up, and it's for a moment. But then you get it all back if you stand on that podium. So, yeah.
That pushes you forward.
Yeah.
That pushes you forward. And it's for them. It's for your family. I almost got you.
You almost got me.
I'm going to keep trying. It's for Shelby. It's for Cullowhee. It's for Los Angeles. It's for New York. Golly, I can't even begin to imagine.
Put that one on Hollywood.
Right? Oh my gosh. So Manio, you're doing something that very few people do. You're transitioning from a summer Olympic sport to a winter Olympic sport. We were talking about this earlier, the Jamaican bobsled team. Unbeknownst to you, as a kid, you watched Cool Runnings, and lo and behold, now you were part of Team USA for the bobsled team. What? What?
It's still, like, I don't believe it sometimes. It's like, why did I do this, and how did I get into this? Like, people are like, where do you train? Like, the questions are crazy. Like, where do you train? I'm like, Asheville, Charlotte, Lake Placid, New York. They're like, but there's no ice. It's 96 degrees outside. I was like, yeah, well, I go up there for the ice when it's cold enough. It's a lot.
So let's talk about that. So first of all, how did you first get in touch with the bobsled program? How did you get connected with him? And when did you start to think, okay, yeah, I can do that?
Yeah, so I was actually headed to the Outer Banks on my birthday. I can't remember exactly where. We were headed to Manio, North Carolina. Yeah. So,
Of course.
my girlfriend then, my wife now, surprised me, took me out there because I'd always wanted to go out there and figure out why did I get this name and do some historical things on it. And I did, and it was great. So we were on the way out there. I get a call from an Indianapolis number. I'm like, who is this? I'm not going to answer this. But I answer, and it's the CEO of Bobsled and Skeleton. I'm like, how do you get my number? And then I realized I knew the voice. And the voice was Aaron McGuire, who was formerly the national team director for USA Track and Field. So I knew him very, very well. So he called me and basically recruited me on the spot.
So there was already a track and field connection with bobsled and skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
When you first got into into a bobsled going down a track, what was that experience like? It looks terrifying.
It is, or it was.
Yeah.
A lot of the other people that came in with me were, asking veteran athletes, like, what's it like? And they were getting different answers back, and I was just toning it out. I don't want to know what it's like because if I just go down the ice, I'm going to experience it myself, and I'll know myself.
You'll know.
And so the person that went before me, they forgot to pull the brakes. And so they messed up the blades, or the runners is what we call them.
Yeah.
So my trip down the ice, the pilot that I was with, her name's Nicole Vogt. Shout out to Nicole. I had a female pilot, which is super dope. I love that.
Yeah.
For my first trip. And she was like, I wasn't going to tell you this until after the fact, but I almost dumped us because it would have been better for us to crash than what you experienced. And I was like, that was rough? I was like, if that was rough, I'm going to be just fine.
You're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
How fast do you go?
We've gone upwards of 94 miles per hour. That's in Canada on the world's fastest track in Whistler. But on average, it depends on the track. They're usually a mile long, which is crazy. The connection 4x4, there's 4 guys in there, a mile long. It's super weird. But mostly 80 to 90, somewhere in there, 70 to 90, somewhere in there.
And so you told us earlier that your position or your role on a bobsled team is to be the brake man.
Mm-hmm. So there's 2 disciplines for the men. It's 2-man and there's 4-man. In 2-man, it's just the pilot and then me. So in either capacity, I pull the brakes. So a lot of people don't know that there's actually a braking system in there that you have to pull by hand. Yeah.
And that's not just at the end, I guess. Like, do you have to brake?
Oh no, you can't touch it until you cross the line.
Until you cross the line. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So you're responsible just for stopping.
Mm-hmm.
That's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And being as still as possible.
And
while going through 5 Gs of force.
5 Gs?
Going 80 plus miles per hour.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it depends on the track. It varies. And then, of course, on 4-man, there's a pilot, a left side guy, a right side guy, and then me.
Oh my gosh.
And then on the 4-man, there's so much. It's like choreography on ice. So once they jump in, I actually pull their bars in, and we all sit down at the same time. And then
Right.
It's
tucked.
beautiful. It's
tucked
really
and you're
beautiful.
going.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I was going to make a joke about NASCAR. It's like NASCAR on ice.
Well, I say that all the time.
But
Yeah.
when for NASCAR fans out there, like watching a pit stop and, just the choreography of doing a tire change and, you got the jack guy.
Really, really
Yeah, there are a
Thank
lot
you.
of
Yes.
NASCAR
Yes.
connections in the sport of bobsled.
It's just-
Totally relatable. It's just the
Thank
same.
you. No,
Yeah, there's a ton of there's a ton of NASCAR connections that have either been pilots before or they have some kind of connection with. I know like some of our first makes of sleds were built by guys who did NASCAR. So
Yeah.
So there's a huge connection there.
What happens when you let the English major interview the Olympic athlete? Not just NASCAR.
So looking forward, we've done a lot of looking back, right? Looking forward, 2026. What's it look like from now until then?
So 2026 we'll be in Cortina, Italy for the Winter Games.
That's a bummer.
I feel
Yeah.
like alumni engagement needs to be there.
We could do
I
a
think we need to
tailgate.
have an entire Wii festival there or whatever. We need
Yes.
to have everybody there.
I'm in.
But yeah, so we'll be in Cortina, Italy in like February, March, somewhere in there. So we're about a year and a half out, something like that. So it's literally right around the corner. So the prep is like now. We host the World Championships in Lake Placid coming in March, this coming March.
Okay.
So that'll be huge. So home ice, and
Yeah.
hopefully you can medal there. And then obviously fast forward to the game. So it's looking great right now. Last year this season we finished 5th at the World Championships in 2-man. Just my pilot Frankie Del Duca and myself. And it was my debut, so that's pretty good. Top 6 is good in bobsled. And it's all about your start. So you want to be in the top 6 of your starts. We were top 4. And we finished 5th by like a couple hundredths of a second out of medals. So it's the highest finish since 2013, I believe.
That's fantastic.
So we're on our way.
Yeah.
You have good momentum.
Yeah.
I couldn't help but notice, Manio, that there are, I remember 7 athletes in the world, in history, who have medaled in a Summer Olympics and a Winter Olympics.
I like the way you worded that. Because there's 6, but 7 sitting here.
7 could be said. There's 6. You would be the 7th
Yep.
if you were able to medal in the 26
I'd be the 7th.
Olympics, and you would be the 7th. You could also be the first African American Olympian to medal in a Summer and a Winter Olympics.
Male.
Is that?
Yep.
Does that push you? Do you think about that? Like the opportunity to be the first, to be the 7th in the world?
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
I have no choice. Like it's. I mean, when you put that kind of accolade behind it, you know, like that's unmatched. You know, like being that I'm the first Olympic medalist from Western Carolina, that was huge. Yeah. And that was something that I wanted to achieve, and not just for myself, but for everyone.
Yeah.
So to be able to say that I could be one of 7 people ever to have one of in the summer and winter, like it's hard enough just to get there, but to do that would be, you know, a grand opportunity. But of course, taking it to the African American side, like that would be huge for my son. You know, I said I didn't have that father figure growing up, or I didn't have a father in the home, and just being able to leave a legacy for my family, to just it doesn't have to be athletic, just to strive for something, whatever it is that you want to do or be, or that you aspire to be, just do your best to be that or to do that. So that's like the best that you can get right there. So yeah, I'm always trying to, like Stacey alluded to earlier, I'm just always trying to go after what's next. Like I don't hang medals or any of that stuff up. Like it's the only thing I have hanging up in our house is my degrees from here and my masters from other places and stuff like that. But all the other stuff doesn't. I'm always like, what's next? What can I do better?
You just started down a path. I'm gonna take a few more steps down. I want to know, you know, if you were to sit down 10 minutes from now, right? If we went down to the track and there were, you know, track athletes down there, or any student here, track or not, what advice would you give them? Because you just said it's about leaving a legacy and it's about making a difference and moving forward. What advice would you give them? Don't
waste your time. Straight to the point. Don't waste your time. My freshman year, I wasted so much time. And now looking back, I'm like, man, I could have been even better. I'm happy with where things ended up, but I went in the weight room, I'd be in pajama pants. I didn't care about lifting weights, or I'd be late for class. Like my freshman year, first semester only, I cleaned up a lot. Second semester, I had no choice. Almost got kicked out of here. That's another story.
We'll skip that one.
Yeah. I just don't waste time, because you never know if you're going to get that time back or not. Mm-hmm. And just make the most of every opportunity that you're given, because there are a lot of people that want to be in your shoes that aren't in your shoes that will take that opportunity from you if you don't take advantage of it. And that's at any level.
It sounds like what the answer that you would probably give to a question I like to ask everybody on this podcast, which is if you could go back in time and find yourself that freshman year when you first stepped foot in Cullowhee and just grab yourself by the shoulders and say something, what would you say to yourself? And maybe that's don't waste your time. And also go to class.
Yeah.
On time.
Yeah, I'd probably answer it that way, or I would say leave the undefeated season alone.
Tell me more about that.
Do you guys know what the undefeated season is?
Mm-mm.
Go for it.
It's the female.
The undefeated season.
Following.
Do you get it?
Yes. Absolutely.
You'll have to explain this to me later. Gonna write that down.
No, it's
right after NASCAR.
I mean, I wasn't really. I wouldn't say I was like chasing girls and things like that. I think when I came to college,
Okay, never mind. We've got it figured out.
there's the undefeated season.
That's it. Yeah.
The female will always win. That's why it's the undefeated season.
I think that's the best answer to that question we've gotten this entire season.
No, but seriously though, I think I'd say.
Wes.
What else would I say to myself? The time thing is huge for me. But yeah, just like I did so much here, like even off the track, I was able to do stuff in the community, and we did something called Rockin' Readers, which is something that I still do to this day that was started here. We went down to Cullowhee Valley, and we'd read to the kids for a couple hours, and now I partnered with Reading Across America, and we do all the same stuff that I used to do here as an 18-year-old. And so just taking advantage of those opportunities, like, yeah. And just be confident. You don't have to be cocky, but just be confident in your abilities. Because if you don't believe in yourself, a lot of kids, they don't believe in themselves. They want everybody to believe in them, their coaches, their whatever the staff is, whoever, but they don't first believe in themselves. You got to win within first, and then you win for everyone else.
Manio Mitchell, what an honor to have you here. Before we let you go, did you find your silver medal?
I did.
We were, so while he's like digging it out, we were talking about, before the interview, he's like, I got to go find it. I don't know. My kids play with it. Like, it's just, it was down in the couch cushions, and it's got a purple ribbon.
I told you
It's purple.
it was everything. It was like my Olympics. I swear, it was like the Western Olympics.
This is a huge, huge thing. This is the first Olympic medal that we've had on Western Wednesdays. And so thank you for bringing that. This is another first. Manio, thank you truly for your time. Thank you for being the representative of Western Carolina University that you are, for the father that you are, for the Olympic athlete that you are. Thank you. And thank you for joining us here today.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
It was our pleasure.
James, what a great opportunity today to spend some time with Manio Mitchell, 2012 Olympic silver medalist and WCU Catamount alumnus.
Catamount alumnus, and just a great inspiration. I felt charged up by talking to Manio. And also, by the way, we have to share this. Manio left the podcast studio here and went downstairs and went out on the track and was immediately challenged to a race with Paws, the mascot. And we'll let, maybe in the outtakes, we'll put it in the show notes is what we'll do. Sam will put it in the show notes to see who won.
My money's on Paws.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'll take the other side of that bet. I think Manio could have pulled it off. But, oh my gosh, great inspiration from Manio Mitchell. And great work that he's doing too right now, going into being an Olympic bobsledder, trying to make the team, trying to get on there for 2026. There are so many cool things happening in his life. And the way he gives back to his community, I just loved all of that.
Absolutely, and hearing him, be such an advocate for Western and all of the things that Cullowhee and Western mean to him.
Makes me proud. He definitely makes me proud to be a Catamount and to be able to share the space with him. Well, Stacy, there are a lot of reasons to be proud to be a Catamount. A lot of things that are coming up, a lot of opportunities to cheer on Western. It's almost football season.
That's right.
We're getting some folks together in Asheville.
We're getting, Friday, August 9th, WCU Alumni Night with the tourists.
The tourists in Nashville get some
Come on
baseball.
out. That's right. Get some baseball, see some fireworks,
Yeah.
a little back to school fun before things get too crazy.
Yep.
And then if you're, in the Raleigh area, so that's our Western North Carolina. If you're in the Raleigh area, come on out August 29th and put on your purple and support the Catamounts as the Catamount football team will be in Raleigh taking on the Wolfpack of NC State.
It's a big game for us.
It is.
But a fun game. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to be out there. It's going to be hot. Hydrate, everyone.
Great opportunity, for our, Central North Carolina alumni to get out there and get together.
There'll be a Purple Zone tailgate out there. Athletics will be out there. I'm sure there's great information on how to get registered for that if you're not already on the list. But be sure to show out and show some Catamount pride at NC State.
That's right.
And then we'll be back home not long after that for kicking off our home football season for 2024.
Yep, September 7th, and then we absolutely can't check out without talking about Legacy Pinning over Family Weekend.
Absolutely.
October 5th is Legacy Pinning. So if we've got an alum out there who has a student who is entering Western this semester or has entered Western and is still here, right? If you have a student who's a sophomore, junior, senior, is still here and didn't attend Legacy Pinning in the past, come on out, be a part of that. What a great memory and a great tradition that we have here in Cullowhee.
It's so cool whenever we meet the second generation Catamounts, or the third, or the fourth, or the fifth, and hearing those stories is so inspiring. And we got to meet some of those legacy parents this summer. Stacy and I were hosting just kind of meet and greets, casual meet and greets during orientation days here at Western on campus. So we got to meet a lot of those folks, and they're really, really cool. And then homecoming coming up in November, the weekend of November 1st through 3rd. It's a big weekend, Stacy. You've got like 100 different parties that you're throwing.
So many things going on. We will kick off the alumni engagement activities about 4 o'clock on Friday, November 1st. So go ahead and, get those hotels reserved, Airbnbs. Make sure that you are in Cullowhee November 1st through the 3rd. Stay the whole weekend. Make a weekend of it.
That's exactly it. We're going to have a lot of fun. It's always great to see everybody back on campus, everybody greeting each other and seeing friends that they haven't seen in a long time. Great weekend. You can find out information about that and every event that we've talked about at alumni.wcu.edu. Follow us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the places, and be sure to like and share and subscribe and all those things. And before we go, I do definitely want to say this. This has been such a fun season of Western Wednesdays, and anytime you want to share our podcast with a friend, let us know about that. Send us a note, drop us a line. You can email alumni@wcu.edu, and we'll be glad to hear from you. Reach out back to us and let us know what you think. And anybody you want to see us interview, let us know that too. So it'll be a lot of fun.
That's right.
Before we go, also, thanks to Sam Wallace, our producer. Thanks to Charlie Bulla. Thanks to Paul Garner. Great team here that makes all of this possible. And Stacy, thank you. Thanks to Manny Mitchell for joining us today. And until the next time, go Cats.